In terms of procedural steps, it means that the sanctions against Iran that were lifted in exchange for Iran's agreement to curb its nuclear program will be reimposed. Now, these sanctions they target primarily the banking sector, trade, the energy sector, and these are sensitive sectors that affect the livelihood of the Iranian people and Iran's economy. In reality, however, the damage to the agreement in terms of hurting its spirit, if you will, which is building trust between Iran and the international community on one hand, and Iran and the United States on the other hand, has been done since the first day of the election of Mr. Trump. Now, the full impact of this decision would depend on how other parties would react to it, particularly Europe, Russia, and China. And also Iran, how would Iran respond to the US step? Now, for Europe, there's also the element of to what extent the US administration will be tolerant for European companies to work on Iran and not expose these companies to further sanctions. The reality is that even before the deal, before the US withdrawal from the deal, international companies did not work freely in Iran. There was a fear of these companies getting sanctions or getting any problems with the US. Now this fear, since the US has officially walked away from the deal, this fear will be multiplied. For me, the US decision to withdraw from the Iran deal is a missed opportunity, and I say that because of two reasons. The first one, the agreement included solid verification measures that, if applied or implemented to other countries in the region, could have improved the nuclear security. And Iran is not the only country in the region that has nuclear power or aspiring to build a nuclear power program. So these verification measures could have been utilized beyond Iran case to regional or even global, on a global scale. The second reason why I think it's a missed opportunity is that the Iran deal is, or was at the time of signing it, a success for diplomacy. It was an alternative for aggression and use of force, and simply by walking away from it, we give the opposite message. The answer simply lies in the overlap, or the technological overlap, between what is peaceful and non-peaceful nuclear technology. The reality is that if a country wants to have a nuclear power program which can be used to generate electricity, the same technology can be also used to produce materials for weapons, for nuclear weapons. So Iran wanted to have an indigenous nuclear power program, and therefore having full control over sensitive parts of the nuclear fuel cycle. Now, these sensitive parts can provide pathways, if Iran wanted, to weaponization capability. Now, from the international community, the deal was a timely effort to seek Iran's assurances and commitments about its nuclear program while building trust with Iran. From the Iran side, the deal was needed because the Iranian economy was crippling under sanctions, and they wanted to break from these sanctions and improve their economic situation. Oh yes, absolutely. If Iran decides to pull out of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, which stresses its commitment to not developing nuclear weapons, or restarts its uranium enrichment program prior to the agreement, then this could be a signal of escalation. And then other countries in the region, such as Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Turkey, might reassess their nuclear security commitments as well. In the region, we have sort of unjustified nuclear power programs, and you cannot help but think that maybe these countries are having a second thought about the peacefulness of this nuclear program. I'm not saying that this is a certain possibility, but it is something certainly the international community should be considering.